Kids Life Kids. My name is Christina. I'm one of the helpers and teachers, and I want to talk to you today about a Bible story in the book Esther, and this one is about a girl named Esther. Now, Esther was just a regular girl who lived in a kingdom, and she did the impossible. She did something no one thought could happen because she prayed to God. She believed in God and she trusted God, and she was very brave. Now, being brave is really difficult sometimes because we're in scary situations, but knowing that God is going to take care of us, knowing that He's calling us because we're listening to Him, really helps us to have that courage to do what God has called us to do. Now, I want us to remember our Bible verse, which is to pray without ceasing, without stopping. And there are so many times in the Bible that people pray and they turn to God and they listen to God for help. And Esther's story is just one of those. So you'll hear about it when I tell the story, but I just want us to remember 1 Thessalonians 5:17 is pray without ceasing, which is praying without stopping, and in all circumstances, to remember that. So here's the story. This is the story of a big kingdom. It's the story of a king and a queen and people that lived inside this kingdom. And it's a story about family. Now, one day inside the kingdom, we see our king. He sat on his throne. Now, the king loved to have parties and feasts and have all sorts of people around, and he loved to have his queen come join everybody so he could say, "This is my queen." So he told his people to go get the queen so she could come join the feast. But the queen said, "No, I don't want to go." He was very angry. He said, "If she's not going to be my queen, I'll find a new queen." So all of his people said, "Hey, king, if you want, we can go out into the town and find all the beautiful young ladies, and then you can pick one to be your new queen." The king said, "That's a great idea. Go do that." So all the people went out to find all the beautiful women. So the king's men went out into the streets and found all the beautiful young women. There were so many beautiful women to choose from, but the most beautiful of all was Esther. She was the prettiest girl in the whole kingdom. Now, Esther, she lived with her cousin Mordecai. Mordecai was raising her like his own daughter, because Esther didn't have a mom or a dad. They were actually cousins. So he took care of her since she was little, and he raised her. And he knew that she would probably be picked for being queen, so he encouraged her to go. Now, something to remember is that Mordecai's family was Jewish, and that's not how everybody was in the kingdom. So he told Esther not to tell anyone in the castle that she was Jewish, because she might not get picked to be queen. He said, "Keep it a secret," and she said that she would keep it a secret. Now the time had come for the king to pick his new queen, and out of all the girls he saw, the king loved Esther the most. He said she was so beautiful and it delighted him to see her. So he put the royal crown on top of her head and made her the queen. Now Mordecai, Esther's cousin, liked to hang out outside the castle gates so that he could talk to Esther sometime. And one day he learned of a plan that people had to hurt the king. So he told Esther. And she said, "I have to tell the king." So Esther told some of her guards that there was a plan to hurt the king. And the guards told the king that it was true. And the king said, "Thank goodness for that man Mordecai that saved my life." Now, there was also a man named Haman, and he worked for the king. And one day, the king decided to make Haman a very powerful man in the kingdom. He gave him a royal crown and royal robes, and he even gave him a royal house, made him in charge of lots of lands and people, and gave him lots of honor. So all the people in the towns honored Haman, and he loved the honor. Now, Mordecai still hung out outside the castle gate all the time so that he could talk to Esther sometimes. But this day, Haman came up and said, "Mordecai, bow to me. I am honored in this kingdom." But Mordecai said, "No, I'm Jewish. I only bow to God. Haman was not happy about that. He decided to talk to the king. Haman came to the king and said, "King, there are people throughout your lands, and they do not follow your law. I ask permission to punish them, sell them, and make them leave this kingdom." The king said, "Okay, do what you have to do." Esther was very afraid for her family. Mordecai came to Esther and said, "Our people, our family is in danger. You have to talk to the king." But Esther said, "I can't. It's illegal to go in front of the king without permission. He has to invite me, and he hasn't invited me. I can't just go in. I'll die." He said, "Maybe God put you in this palace at this time just for this situation, and you can save our family." She said, "Tell the family to fast and pray for 3 days. I will, and my people will all fast and pray for 3 days, and then I'll go talk to the king." So they all decided to fast and pray to God. Even though Queen Esther was very scared, she knew she had to try to save her people. So she came into the throne room without permission. She was very scared that the king would be angry. But the king was so happy to see Esther. He loved to see her. And he said, "My queen, what can I do for you? I'll do anything you want. Tell me what your wish is." And she got kind of nervous and she said, "Have we given a big feast or parade to Haman yet? Because I think he deserves it." The king said, "No, that's a great idea." And Haman said, "That's a great idea. I love feasts in my honor." She was a little sad that she didn't do what she was supposed to do, but there was a reason. So the kingdom had a huge parade to honor Haman, and he was so excited because he loved to be honored. But after the parade, Haman went and saw Mordecai again and said, "Bow to me. I've been honored by the Queen Esther, and you should bow to me." Mordecai said, "No, I'm good. I still don't want to bow to you. I'm Jewish, and I only bow to my God." Haman was very, very angry. He said, "Fine. I've already captured all your family, and tomorrow I'm going to make you banished." Mordecai said he had to talk to Esther. Mordecai found Esther and said, "Tomorrow, our whole family is going to be banished, even me. What can you do?" She said, "Tomorrow morning I'm supposed to have a feast for Haman. He's going to banish me before the feast, and then he's going to go feast and be so happy. I'll have to talk to the king." Esther found the king, but before she could talk to him about her family, the king said, "Do you remember that guy Mordecai who saved my life by telling me about some bad guys that were trying to hurt me?" Yeah, I remember him. I think he should have a parade tomorrow." "That's a great idea. We should totally do that. Let's have a parade for Mordecai." So the king instructed Haman to honor Mordecai in a parade. He said, "Give him a royal crown. Take him throughout the city and honor him." So he had to lead the parade to honor Mordecai, and he hated Mordecai. But he still did it. They went out into the city and said, "This is Mordecai. He's honored by our king." And everyone in the city saw. Haman was so embarrassed and angry that he had to honor a man that he hated. He went inside his house. God told Esther, "This is the time. Talk to the king about your family." So she did. Excuse me, king?" "Yes, Esther, my queen?" "Listen, there's a plot out against my family. There are bad people who are trying to kill us and banish us and hurt us. But who would hurt my queen's family? It's Haman, your right-hand man." "That can't be. He would hurt my own queen? Her family?" "He's out against Mordecai." "Mordecai, who saved my life? Mordecai that we just spent all day honoring in a parade?" "Yep, that Mordecai. Something has to be done." "Haman!" Yes, my king?" "You are banished." "What? Me? I'm not banished." "You are. You had a plot out against my wife's family. You tricked me. Mordecai saved my life and you would have him killed? No, you are banished." But leave!" "Okay, I'm gonna leave. Bye-bye." My queen, go get your cousin Mordecai. Mordecai, you have been honored. I'm going to give you the same title that I gave Haman. You can have his royal crown. You can even have his royal house. What? That's crazy! Esther was very brave. She listened to her God. She prayed. She devoted time to listen to what he wanted her to do, and she followed what he wanted her to do, and she saved all of her people because she prayed. That was such a cool story, right? I mean, amazing things happened. She broke the law even, and God took care of her because he called her to be in that place to save her people. That's such a cool thing. So we're gonna do something else that's a little bit impossible today with a little science experiment. I'm gonna put up what you need right now and give you a minute to gather it if you need to. But what we need is a whole bunch of pencils, you know, like 5 or 6, or you can do more than that if you want, but they have to be very sharp. We need a cup of water, a good amount of water, and a Ziploc bag. Okay guys, if you have your supplies, I'm gonna get started. First thing is you're gonna take your bag, have a grown-up help you with this, or at least their permission, and you're gonna pour in your water. So this bag represents what we know. We know that there's water in this bag. We know that the bag is keeping the water in, and if we poked a hole in this bag, the water would spill out, right? Now, sometimes God calls us to do things that we say, that's impossible. We know that this will happen if we do this. Esther knew that she could be put to death if she followed what God was asking her to do and go in and talk to the king without permission. She knew it. Sometimes God challenges what we know to grow our faith. So this is a very sharp pencil that we're going to use to poke a hole in this bag today. Now I believe that it's not going to spill. Ah, and out the other side. That's pretty cool, huh? Now whatever you do, don't take the pencil out. We're going to do another one. That's pretty fun. Sometimes the truth is just a little different than what we know already. Sometimes we learn things that change the way we see the world. And God really likes to help us do that. All right, I'm gonna do one more. Right through the middle. So much fun. Sometimes God really helps us to see things differently, a way that we would never see them without God helping us. So with that, I'm gonna say a prayer for you guys. God, I just pray for all the kids who are watching or listening to this. I pray that you give them peace throughout their day, Lord, and remind them how powerful and awesome you are, that you are there for us, even when it doesn't seem to make sense, even when it's scary, that you are there and comforting us, and you want the best for us, God. Please help us to remember to pray without ceasing throughout our day today, and just pray for all things. Dear God, amen. You guys have a great rest of your day.